start this call off with a fun intro. Zep, are we recording?
Oh, yeah, I started just now.
Fantastic. Okay, so since we're going to have a lot of people here, I do want to let everyone speak once, but the format of this call will be mostly just the people who are presenting parameters or representing parameter sets. They'll be doing it. I need one person to share screen who's not presenting parameter sets. Does anyone want to volunteer for that who's not presenting a parameter set? And to be like an active moderator of showing like people's proposals?
I can do that if I have the links handy.
Just do token log. Go to token log and that will work great. Okay, so let's start this baby off with an intro question. And it's very simple. Number one, are you making a proposal? Are you going to represent a proposal today in this debate? And number two, without any explanation, what is your preferred parameter set? I'll kick it off. My preferred parameter set is Goldilocks, and I will be hosting the debate, not presenting any of the parameter sets. And I'll pass it to Olivia. Oh, Sen Ryu, can you mute, please?
So I will not be representing any proposal. Is that what you asked?
Yes, and what is your preferred parameter set?
I am very much in between. I am undecided, so I'm really happy about this debate because I think I'll have more insights on everything. And I'll pass to Phil.
Hey, so I'm not presenting any proposal, and I'm also undecided, but I think I tend to prefer 420, even though I don't approve the meme, but everything else. And I'll pass to Lauren.
I am representing Goldilocks, and Goldilocks is my favorite proposal. I'll pass it to Nate.
I am presenting a token orogeny that slaps, but with better Tao voting. I, however, am in between proposals at the moment. I'm a really big fan of this one, but I could be swayed. And I will pass it over to Nuggan.
Hey, I'll be presenting Mathmematics version 4, which I just made some modifications to and published. And and I'm excited to hear about everybody else, how they explain the proposals. And I'll pass to Tam.
Hey, I'm proposing 420, public open, meets Ostrom's $1 million hatch, Fledge and fly. I lean towards this one, but I think that all of them actually have some really interesting insights. So I also really look forward to this debate. And I'll pass to Iannacy.
Hi everyone. I'm not representing any particular proposal, but congratulations to everyone. And my favorite term is to decide the opening price. I think that's the best one to decide how long to keep tokens frozen and the rate of.
Just so you know, Iannacy, what is your favorite whole parameter set? Like, which one are you voting for?
Oh yeah, okay. It is Sam's one. Yeah.
420.
Yes.
Nice.
I pass it to the next one. Sorry.
Let's go to Mich.
Thanks. I'll be representing Bolsheviks Gambit V4, and my favorite is Bolsheviks Gambit V4. Surprise, surprise. Marxist Vlad for life. And I'll pass it on down to Zep. Have you gone?
No, thank you, Mitch. Yeah, I'll be presenting Reserve Ratio Matters, Change My Mind. And yeah, that's also my favorite proposal. I'll pass it to Innovator.
Hi everyone. I'm not making a proposal. I'm more used to gravity than params. I don't have a preference, so I'll be listening interestedly. Thank you.
Let's throw it to Mayfair.
Yeah, everyone, congratulations on all these proposals which are amazing. I'm going for the 420 proposal, and I'm all in for this debate. I'll pass it to the centralized SDGs.
We don't hear anything coming out of your audio. Oh. Griff, I don't know if you want to pass it again.
Yeah, I had trouble getting that mute button to work. How about Gideon?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I don't have a proposal, but I'm open to a lot of these, but I'm leaning towards 420. I'm going to pass to Letty.
Hello, congrats to the whole list of proposals that I'm seeing here. So I'm just in this call, as it's called the final debate. I'm just finding out which proposal I would like the best to vote for, and eager to listen to all the proposals you have. So come on, enjoying this debate.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Take it away, Marco.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Sorry, my computer's fantastic. But I'm trying to be an independent voter. I think the whole Param's debate has been one incredible Montaña Rusa, which is like a very cool way for a roller coaster. I will say I've liked a lot, including the Bolshevik revolutions and all the progeny that it's inspired. I am leaning towards 420. I think it took in a lot of the different stakeholder views, which I think it sort of shows an iterative process, but changed my mind.
Nice. Let's throw it to Montaña Rusa. Chuy.
Thank you, Griff. I'll be presenting Montaña Rusa today, which surprisingly ended up being a very conservative proposal, and I think I like 420 because it's been like disruptive, but I still want to make up my mind today. So I'm looking forward to listening to your proposals. And I'll pass it to Gideon. Have you went?
Yeah, I already went, Juy. Thanks.
How about Ben's?
And undecided. Seen 420 yet, so excited to see that. I'll pass it to Vicente. They haven't gone.
Good morning, everyone. I won't represent a proposal today, and I am leaning towards Goldilocks and 420. And I pass it to Juank.
Thanks. I will be representing Ostrom's $1 million baby, and I like the proposals Goldilocks, Bolsheviks, and Ostrom's $1 million baby. And I will pass to Ivy.
Next one. Sorry, I just got in. What's the question?
Hey, Ivy. Welcome to the party. What proposal are you likely to vote for? And are you representing a proposal today?
I submitted the proposal. That's the together with Juank and Zepti. That's 800K of transparency. But I'm also leaning toward reserve ratio matters. Change my mind. So yeah, but I'm also checking the Goldilocks $1 bet because it's among the top three. It's like the at the middle when it comes to the reserve ratio. And I don't know who to pass it to.
Oh, let's see if I can figure it out. How about Innovator? You went, right? Did you already go? Let's go JBZ. JBZ, do you have a proposal that you'd like to represent, or do you have a favorite proposal that you'll vote for? Or are you undecided? Oh, you're still muted, JBZ. Okay, let's see. How about Roderick? Roderick, do you have a favorite proposal that you'll vote for? Uh-oh. Is my internet working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. Sen Ryu, do you have a favorite proposal that you'll be voting for during this, today?
Hi. No, not a favorite proposal yet. I'm leaning to 420 or one of the other top three, but I'm here to hear more about it to make a decision. So, thank you.
Wow, this is exciting. I think I went through everyone, so let's get this party started. We're going to give everyone just 30 seconds. Sorry, 1 minute. But you want to? I'm hoping that you can. All the people who are presenting, which is Wonka, Chuy, Mich, Tam, Nuggan, Nate, and Lauren. You are the only ones that I marked. Oh, and Zep. I missed Zep there. You are the ones who I marked down as presenting. So we're going to go and through each one of you, and you will have 1 minute to show off what the parameters are for your proposal and give the fastest pitch on why your proposal is the best thing for the future of the Token Engineering Commons. So we're going to start off with Mich. And you don't have to share a screen. Olivia will be sharing screen for you. So Mich, which proposal are you doing?
This is Bolsheviks Gambit fork with revolutionary opening price and Iron Curtain conviction voting, number 109.
And what's great about you want to show off your parameters really quick and say why it's great, and then
you want me to share screen or no?
No. Use Livia will share.
Great. So basically what we have here is a proposal that changes over time, similar to other proposals, but what I'd like to say is that it's good for us to have short vesting. We're technically still in the token freeze right now, so we should take that into consideration, and also to create a community-focused economy. We should keep our opening price at 1 XDAI. And I think that our Iron Curtain conviction voting settings will help us to pass large proposals with healthy amounts of support, but also protect us from small proposals passing through, because that doesn't really align with the kind of proposals that we'll be seeing within the TEC. And the way the relationship in Bolsheviks Gambit between... Oh, wow. Damn.
Yeah. That's okay. Let's pass it to...
Good luck, everybody.
You got 1 minute. Zep.
Okay, should I start now or I wait?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, yeah, the best part about reserve ratio...
Oh, hold on, you're right. So,
okay.
Livia, can you go to Septimus's proposal, which is reserve ratio matters? There it is. Okay, go for it, Zep.
Okay, yeah, the best thing about this proposal is probably one of the highest with the reserve ratio, and what that means, we welcome new people to have an impact. Like when you have a very low reserve ratio, what you're doing is making the economy very close, and I think it goes against our culture of welcoming everyone. Also, like we have like the hatches are going to be rewarded since the opening price is higher than the hatch, and also after the initial buy. And then for the conviction voting, since we have like in this proposal, the amount on the conviction voting is very limited because we put so much money into the reserve, which is important. Like the conviction voting parameters are a bit strict. So, but nothing like we have enough money to work for a year and a half, let's say, a full speed, and also fund the public goods. But we need to focus on be efficient. And I'll pass it to Griff.
Thank you. Good job. Good job with the 1 minute pitch. I'll pass it to Lauren for Goldilocks.
Cool. Goldilocks. So Goldilocks is a great proposal because Goldilocks balances. It's like looking for the optimum situation. There's the token freeze and token thaw of a total of one and a half years. Opening price at $1 means that the reserve ratio is 20%, even though we're starting with almost $1 million in the common pool, which is really important for funding token engineering initiatives. You start with a high entry tribute and a low exit tribute, ensuring that we're getting value aligned people coming into the commons in the early stages. But over time, those values are entry tribute's going to go down, exit tribute's going to go up. Like systematically every month, we're changing the entry and exit tributes. For DAO voting, once again, just right. You got 5-day vote duration, 2-day quiet ending extension, meaning that votes can pass within 1 week, but delegates still are able to flip the vote. Conviction growth is also balanced optimally. You have, after 1 month, your conviction's basically maxing out, but you're still able to pass large proposals with over 50% of the proposals for 800,000 in the common pool. You're able to pass proposals like 60,000. Okay, thanks.
Fantastic. Let's pass it to Nate.
All right, thank you. So mine is the A Token Orogeny that slaps, but with better Tao voting.
I'll wait to start the timer until she finds it. Oh. It's in this one. It's just starts with. It's in line. Oh man, I don't know. It's on token log, and it has like 30 votes. Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right, ready?
Yep.
So I think this is one of the more balanced proposals out of all of them. I think this is we have 26, 78 weeks, and it starts at a generous $1.20, which is really nice. The entry and exit tributes are both high, knowing that we're going to change them later. It's got a very conservative reserve ratio, but it's not too high that it's kind of like stagnant for the ABC long term. The Tao voting is very balanced with 7 days of voting period with 4-day delegated voting, and the conviction voting is really that kind of orogeny style, 42 days, very long conviction growth, very small minimum conviction with 11% spending limit. The big thing here is that people shy away from it because it has $775,000 within the common pool, which is nothing to sneeze at, but it's important to understand that that common pool is going to continue to grow, and that starting too high can be not as beneficial as having this kind of moderate approach. So I really believe that Tao voting is one of the better proposals out there.
Nice timing, man. Let's throw it to Chuy for Montaña Rusa.
Thank you, Griff. Okay, so this is originally a fork from the TEC Casino and Bolsheviks Gambit proposal, and the idea is being open as a community-focused economy, it tries to achieve a low reserve ratio so that it can become interesting for speculators. So the idea is to have something that is beneficial for the community with a little bit more than $1 million in the common pool to start, but also be something interesting for speculators to participate, generating more income to the common pool. Common tribute of 77% is right below 1 million, and with the initial buy-in, we would be passing that million, a reserve ratio of 15%. And regarding DAO voting, we have these half days added because, Okay.
Well done. Well done. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. 1 minute pitch. Let's throw it to Tam for the top voted one. 420.
Yeah, it's number 135. Yeah, this is some tough competition. Okay, let's go. So really the whole idea is the philosophy of what we're doing here. It's the philosophy of the hatch, and that we've worked hard to create initial conditions for a resilient commons ecosystem. Hatchers are committed to the goal. We have a low time preference, and a slow and steady approach will realize that we have a profitable, stable, and regenerative economy, which is what we all want, to advance token engineering by continuously funding research, education, and open source software. So we have a freeze and thaw with a low time preference in mind. The opening price of 420 provides a little more protection from malicious pump and dumps. And the commons pool has about 912K in it, so that we can, out of the gate, fund some really cool projects that'll advance token engineering. The reserve ratio is one that I hem and hawed about a little bit, but it turns out the reserve ratio in most economies, like from a macroeconomic scale, is between 0 and 10%. In the US, central banks currently are at 0%. So I actually figured 7% is not so bad. And I'm out of time.
Thank you so much, Tam. Let's throw it to Nuggan for Math V4.
Thanks, Griff. Yeah, well, this is the fourth version after taking ideas from Mich, Bolsheviks Gambit, and the Fledge. Yeah, it's basically a reasonable freeze of half a year, and then 1.5 years of thaw, so for a total of 2 years. The opening price is lower, it's 70 cents, but that allows us to have a bonding curve with more than 1 million in the reserve in the common pool, and still have a reserve ratio of 14, which is relatively stable, but still gives upside to the token to protect against whales and allow some speculation. Then the tribute S is put at 7% for everybody who goes in and out, 3.5 equally. And then Tao Voting is pretty standard, a bit on the higher side of the support required because I like it to be, I would like Tao Voting to be stable and not be like changing stuff a lot. And conviction voting, spending limit of 20% with a conviction growth of 7 days and minimum conviction of 6% to counterbalance this high spending limit, with the goal of funding bigger stuff and still not allowing proposals to pass in like 1 day or 8 hours, but usually in like a week or 2 weeks, but still be able to do stuff. And yeah, basically that's that. Important for me is the 50% reserve ratio, which I think is pretty balanced. And also after the buy-in, the price would stay at 1.4 DAI. So again, above the hedge price, while still allowing for a 1 million common pool, which I think is very important to get started in strength.
Perfect. Let's see. Juank, $1 million baby.
Yeah. Well, one of the cool things of this proposal is also that we have a lower opening price. And the intention of this is for the community to be able to acquire a lot of TEC from the initial buy. And at the same time, the commons tribute of 78% allow us to have $1 million in the common pool with a reserve ratio of 22%. And the idea is that after the initial buy, the opening the price raises up to $1.1 dollars. And the cool thing about this is that to match the governance of the hatch, we will need actually a market cap of 33 million. So I feel like it's not so close, but it's still a high a high market cap to reach the governance of the hatch. And this proposal also on the conviction voting tries for proposals to be able to pass fast and smaller proposals.
Fantastic.
50K. Yeah.
Fantastic work. I know that was short. Thank you. Did I hit everyone, right? I'm not missing anyone? Okay, great. Yeah? Did I miss someone?
No.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you so much. Okay, so let's now look at the total weeks of vesting. We're going to look at module 1 and Montaña Rusa. Well, let's go the other direction. Mich, Bolsheviks Gambit has a 12-week freeze and a 52-week thaw. This, along with Septimus's reserve matters, are some of the shortest vesting requirements. Do you want to give us about a minute for why shorter vesting is a better idea for the commons?
Yeah, sure. Like I outlined before, technically we've already been in the token freeze for about 5 months now. And I think with the introduction of the concept of the trusted seed, we don't need to scare ourselves into being afraid of our hatchers. They have been vetted, and they have been people that we kind of hand selected by the common stack to participate in the launch of our economy. So for that, I think it's okay for this to be shorter than the other ones.
Nice. Okay. Well, if you want, you can allot the rest of your time to Zep, who I was only going to give 30 seconds to. But Septimus, do you want to respond? Add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean the intention of the vest, like in my proposal, the vesting is like just a bit more than a year, but since the reserve is so high, like actually there is no need for such a vesting. The only intention that I put like a year of vesting is just because like we want like the people who's outside the community see our commitment. I really think like hatchers do not want to sell, so I mean if we are not going to sell, it's a good comms strategy to have some kind of vesting, but also not so long that like if hatchers like that stop us from interacting with our own economy. Like I think like people should feel free to move in and out of the economy.
Fantastic. And actually there's a 4-way tie for vesting of 2 years, or a little less than 2 years, 104 weeks. Maybe we'll start with Tam. Tam, why do you believe in a longer vesting period? Your vesting is about along for the 420 vesting, along with Montaña Rusa and A Token Orogeny that slaps, as well as Mathematics V4, is about 2 years. Why so long?
Yeah, cool. Thanks. So I think that, and this is where I sort of come back to, like, we want to achieve our mission. And I think our mission isn't going to be achieved overnight. I think that we need 9 months of a freeze. It's about 9 months of a freeze. The freeze will have stopped by the end of 2022. Right? We'll launch this upgrade in January. By by November, October, November, we'll start freezing. And that's actually not a lot of time to get a lot of momentum under what we're trying to do. I think that this was really influenced by the Fledge and this idea, that proposal, and the idea that, give us some time to grow, to grow and to become more resilient. And then once the tokens start thawing, hatchers can start to sell, but the thaw would take place over another year, basically. 16 months, actually. I think 2 years isn't a lot of time to do the kind of ambitious work that we're doing here.
Nice.
And I think we owe it to ourselves to give us that time.
Nice. Thank you so much. Very well said. And with Chuy, with Montaña Rusa, you have a very interesting dynamic where you have actually one of the shortest freezes, but also actually you have almost the shortest freeze and the longest thaw. Would you like to explain your reasoning on that? 30 seconds.
Yes, Griff. I agree with Mitch's approach to the Bolsheviks Gambit. I feel that there are some mechanisms of trust, like Celeste and like the trusted seed. So I feel that people should have the freedom, right, with a low period token freeze. However, I feel that it should be safer for people that are going to participate from the outside. So while having the freedom of selling, we have a long token thaw period that can induce this confidence in participating.
Fantastic. And I'll also give 30 seconds to Nuggan to speak about why he has a similar to Chuy, a relatively a 6-month freeze and a year and a half thaw.
Yeah. Well, I think just half a year freeze makes sense intuitively, and I think also that 2 years is something is not that much thinking about what we want to do, and I think also longer freezes, longer thaws help the TC because in case somebody wants to leave, they're gonna do it through a longer time, which kind of also guarantees that the tribute they will give while leaving will be some income for the treasury during a longer time and not just a dump, and also gives safety to people who may try to invest and know they can't be just dumped on.
Very well said. Very well said. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to move on to the augmented bonding curve to give some space for that. And the lowest initial price, opening price, is Ostrom's $1 million baby. Juanka, can you explain why you went with an opening price of 63 cents? I'll give you 45 seconds.
Yeah, because this allows us to have a common pool of $1 million while having a reserve ratio of 22%. And actually, after the initial buy, the opening price will raise to 1.1. So that will mean that we will remain more or less with the price of the hatch. And that would be an opportunity for hatchers to buy TC like in a second round. And also the idea of this is that the price will go up. It can only go up from the bonding curve. So I think that starting with an initial price only makes it harder for us to grow.
Well said. Well said. And also with a relatively small initial price, we have the Goldilocks proposal. Lauren, do you want to explain why you went with a $1 opening price?
Yeah, sure. So, the Goldilocks proposal has a $1 opening price, basically to make it easy for value-aligned people to come into the commons right at the gate. But the hatchers are still making a profit. After the initial buy, the price of the token moves up to $1.38. So hatchers are already profiting 38% right at the gate, but it still is attractive to bring more people in. Also, with an opening price of $1, we're able to have almost $1 million in the common pool and a reserve ratio of 20%. So that means that the token is going to be volatile enough that we still have this nice moving of the token as people are buying and selling, but it's not favoring the hatchers too much by having just the price of the token just go wild with a low reserve ratio, and then basically meaning that less tokens are able to be minted. So anybody coming in after the hatch isn't able to have power. So the opening price of $1 is actually just right.
Well said. And the other very low price, which by the way, I want to say I did some math on the market caps and initial prices. So Ostrom's $1 million baby's initial price is $1.01 on the chart, but it's actually the price that people will be able to purchase tokens will be $1.10 because of the 8% entry tribute. Goldilocks will also be because it has a 22% entry tribute, although its initial price is $1.38, and maybe I should share the screen on what I'm looking at. Although its initial price is $1.38, its opening price will actually be $1.77 if people want to buy into the bonding curve at launch after the initial buy. So this gives Juanka's $1 million baby initial market cap of $2 million, and Goldilocks a market cap of $3.5 million. But and also in that same realm, there's another proposal that is Zeptimus's reserve ratio matters, which has a very low market cap of 2.6 mil. Can you explain your opening price of $1.05?
Yeah, the intention of the opening price, 1 and 5 is like we are making impactful investments. So like the hatchers have to be rewarded for all what they do, and it's good. But at the same time, as Juan was saying, like if we have a low opening price, then we can also have a bigger reserve ratio, which as Lauren also was saying, like you can like if you have like a very low reserve, like you're making this economy just for hatches, and then when you have like bigger reserve ratio, you can mint more tokens, so people can come like people can join the commons and build with us. And otherwise it would be like create a barrier where people would not be incentivized to join the commons, like because they are not going to have like so much governing power.
Fantastic. Nuggan, I'll give you 30 seconds to also say why you believe in your opening price.
Yeah, well, thanks. First of all, I think after the hatch and the minting of the impact hours, the real backing of DAI for each TC token is around 74 cents. So I think 70 cents was a reasonable starting point. This also left us a chance to have 50% reserve ratio, which I think is best because it has enough upside but still stabilizes in the higher numbers. It also gives the initial buy the chance to buy more tokens, like 250,000, I think, and still leaves the price for people who buy at 140, which still makes a profit for hatchers. But it's also reasonable and doable if somebody wants to buy more.
Fantastic. Okay, well, on the other edge of the spectrum, we have the 420 proposal, which actually has an opening price of 271 and an initial price of 415, with an actualized price because of the 12% entry tribute of 472 to actually buy the token at the gate, giving a $9.5 million market cap, which is more than twice any other market cap. Tam, would you like to explain this? I'll give you a full minute.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's actually, when I submitted it, the opening price was 420, but it's not. So that would have to be corrected actually, because it all hinges on that one meme. So the opening price, there was a really convincing debate this Sunday about, are we selling ourselves short? What should the market cap be for this community? We're the Web3 vanguard, and we're doing it for good. We have thought leadership, master builders, and thinking across all of the disciplines of token engineering. I think this community is worth a lot more. And I think 8 to 9 million market cap is reasonable, but actually I believe we're worth a lot more than that. I think that that having 900K is essential, and that the lower reserve ratio does invite higher price sensitivity. But okay, let's let that volatility catch the attention of speculators. They're going to feed the commons, which will serve us to achieve our mission: more TE research, more TE open source tools. And the reserve ratio in most central banks and commercial banks is between 0 and 10%. Why does ours have to be any higher?
Fantastic.
I can talk about the weakness of it if I have time.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's throw it over to Nate, who's really middle of the field here. At least weighted wise, you're actually the second highest, but pretty close to just to the high end of everybody else. Would you like to discuss what your thinking is behind a $1.20 opening price, which gives a $1.58 minting price and a $1.80 to actually buy in?
Yeah, I like the middle range. I think it's really great to kind of, people are excited about 420 because people are inspired by the price that they may get in return. And there's something to that. And so I wanted to hold on to that with this proposal with $1.20. I think it has a decent reserve ratio, which makes it a little bit more stable, not as volatile. But I think long term, the reward from that is a lot better than starting out with a high opening price and a low reserve ratio. But capturing that type of inspiration and excitement around the opening price is something that is very important.
Fantastic. Oh, you're always so concise. Just beat the timer. Then let's also throw it to, who else hasn't gone? Bolsheviks Gambit. Mich, Marxist Vlad. You went with a $1 opening price. What is your thoughts on this?
Well, you know, I hear a lot of this talk about market cap and selling ourselves for short or high or anything, and that sounds like a lot of capitalist Chad talk. So coming from a different perspective, where we are really focused on just creating a solid common pool and a fair start to place that places us all among equals and comrades, I would go for the $1 opening price because it's simple, it's short, and it's fair.
Fantastic. And Chuy, you again are spreading the field, which is very unique, where you have a below $1 opening price, but because of the entry tribute and the reserve ratio, you end up with one of the larger market caps, $3.3 million market cap. Do you want to explain your thoughts on opening price? 30 seconds.
Yes, Griff. I feel that with our values and everything that we're putting together, it is important to stay inclusive while also rewarding the hatchers that participated. So in addition to this, after the 4 first months of these tributes, I feel that this should be adjusted so that if hatchers want to exit, benefit the common pool from this. So this way we can be inclusive, but at the same time, capitalist chats can have fun with the bonding curve.
Oh, that's right. Marxist Flads and capitalist Chads living together in peace. Montaña Rusa. Okay, let's pass it to Septimus. The title of your proposal is Reserve Ratio Matters. I want to give you a minute to discuss your reserve ratio. It is by far the highest of any of the proposals by a wide margin, actually. And I'm very curious on why you went with a 30% reserve ratio.
Yeah, there is 2 things that makes the reserve ratio so important, and the first one is like the higher the reserve ratio, the more stable like the token is. So like people can feel safe having holding the tokens and knowing like, oh, we are back on the bonding curve. Actually, since we are a low liquidity market cap, and then also like when you have like very low reserve ratio, yeah, the price go wild very fast. But the problem with that is like when people wants to join the commons, like they just join, but they don't like. In like we could do the math, but if you in many of those proposals you put like $5 million, which it's much more than we raised in the hatch, and in all this time we only mean like, I mean it depends on the reserve ratio, but sometimes like even 700k worth of tokens, and when with us with 2 million mean 2 million tokens, which yeah, it's like incentivize people to come and have governance. Like I think that's our culture. Like we want people to come and be with us, and yeah, that's my timing.
Thank you, Zep. And maybe I could ask. Well, actually, I can do it on my screen here. I want to hear the other side of the spectrum on the 7.4 reserve ratio. Tam, I'll give you a minute to discuss why you think having a small reserve ratio is so valuable.
So I think that there are trade-offs for the reserve ratio. The advantages, well, let me start with the, my understanding of it is sort of like is evolving, and my current thinking is like there's not that much reason to shy away from high price sensitivity, maybe on the extreme, but this doesn't seem to be the extreme. So around 10% still seems okay, 7%, a little over 7. But what I think is one of the strongest criticisms is that new entrants have less token governance relative to hatchers for the same price. And I acknowledge that. But I also want to say that new entrants don't have the reputation and haven't been putting skin in the game for the last 12 plus months. So Hatcher equity is good for the TEC. And over the time, this should balance out as Hatchers exit, but we'll have time to know we're on the right track for a sustainable regenerative economy, like looking 5 or 10 years in the future, not just looking at the end of 2022 or 2023 even. Engineering isn't going anywhere. Token engineering isn't going anywhere. And we have a mission to finish. So I feel like this is a risk we can take safely.
Okay, so I just want to highlight the differences in these proposals using this ABC overview chart so that everyone can witness. So this is the 420 public open. The big pieces here is that the initial market cap, the initial reserve is somewhere around 400, and then after the initial buy, it's somewhere around here at this 600. So the price will start here, and there will be so many minted tokens or whatever, and the market cap will be in this range. If 2000, it doesn't take much for people to sell to get the price, like 200K of Hatchers sell, they could bring the price down to 80 cents. And you can see the supply grows very slowly, whereas Hatchers have 2 million. And it takes, if we have 100 million reserve, $400, then we have half the tokens of the Hatch will have been minted. So the strategy here seems to be the Hatchers will sell. The Hatchers will sell their tokens because look at these profits they have to sell. And I think that's a fair strategy. The reserve ratio matters takes the completely opposite direction.
I just want to say, I don't think the Hatchers will sell. That wasn't part of the strategy, actually, but thanks for surfacing that.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's an important point to make.
Okay. Then whereas reserve ratio matters, it starts with an opening price more around in this area, and with the low entry tribute So we start off with a market cap in this area, and you can see the difference in the number of tokens that are being minted in the TC. It's relatively large, and after about 300K, about half the tokens, or even 250K in the reserve, about half the tokens will have been minted, and the price has stayed pretty stable. It is $2.73 to get half the tokens are minted versus you can see there's just such a big difference here and wide range. Oh, sorry, it's this one between TAMs where the price is 481. So a lot more price action, a lot less tokens minted, and a lot less price action and a lot more tokens minted. But then we have a lot that are in the middle of the road. So maybe I will give it to Lauren to make comments on why Goldilocks is chose kind of a middle of the road around 20% price.
Yeah, so I really think that, with this super low reserve ratios, it's like, to me, like almost, it's really upsetting because it feels like this closed, like it's like, oh, if you got in before the hatch, then you're part of this like community that's going to be controlling most of the tokens, especially if you consider, like especially if you think that the hatchers aren't going to be selling their tokens. It's like the hatchers are always going to have more than half of all the power in the token engineering commons. But I just don't think that like as token engineering evolves, more people coming in can be adding value. And so I think that the reserve ratio of 20% is just right. I mean, I'm looking at the same chart that Griff was looking at, and we start at like the $1 range for the initial buy, but then like over time the price, if we have 100 million in the reserve, the price is $84. So it's like it's moving quicker. The price has that more attractive volatility, but then there's like 6 million, like around 6 million tokens in comparison to like the hatchers kind of initial, like what we're holding is like around like 2 million or so. So it's like more than half of the people coming in who are putting in all of these huge funds are actually getting power of the commons, which I think is important because I don't think that we have everybody that we need at this moment in order to really successfully advance token engineering, and we should open it up to other people.
Fantastic. Let's pass it to, how about Nate? You're also in the middle of the road here with a reserve ratio of 22, a little bit higher, closer to reserve ratio matters. I'll give you 30 seconds to make comments on your reserve ratio.
Yeah, I think long-term, the stability of the augmented bonding curve is really important. I think slow growth rather than quick growth is very beneficial to the sustainability of the ABC. I think that with the high volatility comes a lot of unpredictability in terms of price of the token. I think that it makes it a lot more difficult to give out rewards. I think it's a lot more difficult to predict what type of behavior is going to happen. So I think that 22 is still not a super high reserve ratio. I think it's kind of middle of the road, and I think that makes a difference. It provides an upside without the downside of huge volatility.
Fantastic. And let's see. Another more smaller one is Nuggan. You have in Mathematics V4, you have a 14% reserve ratio. Do you want to discuss your thoughts there?
Yeah, thanks, Griff. Yeah, well, I agree that a higher reserve ratio is better, but I think 20 is too much. What I like about 14 or 15, like Chuy's Montaña Rusa, is that it grows fast at the beginning and stabilizes around the price where, or the balance where I think the TC will end. So you kind of have, you don't give too much power to the initial hatchers. So if the TC grows, people who join still have enough tokens to make a difference. And also I think the value of the token rises more according to the importance it would have. Like if you scroll down at 100 million, you get $140 per token, which I think if we get to 600 million market cap is reasonable, but still you have more than double the tokens minted than they were in the hatch. So it's kind of like the 20%, but a bit more for growth.
Fantastic. Chuy, you also are on the narrow side of the reserve ratio. Would you like to say why Montaña Rusa goes the roller coaster approach?
Yes, I mean, I'm also part of the hatchers, and I love to think that we won't sell, right? But you never know, and I also feel that people should have the freedom while providing a safer space for people that are going to be joining in. So this is why I feel that the longer token thaw is relevant. And yeah, I mean, the hatchers can always be like riding the carousel, but if we get tired of it and we want to also ride the bigger roller coaster, we can. And that's what I like about this proposal.
Fantastic. Juank, you're also, along with Nate, at 22%. I'm just going to give you 15 seconds to make a comment on your reserve ratio.
Yeah, I am with Septi on this. I think that it's important to be able to provide governance to the people that joins. So yeah, I don't like when the reserve ratio is too low, because it's like we are centralizing the governance of this economy. And yeah, I don't think that that's a cool approach.
Fantastic. Okay, well now on the entry and exit tributes, there has been a great debate. There are people who have a larger, who believe that there will be enough governance to power within the DAO to change the entry and exit tributes at a regular basis. There are people that would like to minimize that expectation and have set entry and exit tributes throughout the course and lifetime of the DAO. I would like to give it to Lauren to explain the strategy around a 22% entry tribute and 2% exit tribute. This is the largest gap, like trading range, that the secondary markets will have between. And why did you choose to support a proposal that is taking that approach?
So with the early stages of the commons, we're really only going to have the augmented bonding curve as the place that people can buy and sell tokens. So if people want to come and buy into the TUC, which I think they will, they'll be able to be buying into us. The entry tribute and the exit tribute is really the way that we're right now gaining funds for the common pool. And I really want to reach with this proposal, it would be great to have $1 million in the common pool. So with the entry tribute of 22%, we're basically ensuring that anyone who is coming into the commons in the early stages, they're coming in, buying on the augmented bonding curve, and they're doing that knowing that 22% is going to the common pool and to be advancing token engineering. And I think that this is attracting more trusted seed type people. We're not closing it off and just only including trusted seed people, but we're bringing in people who are okay with supporting the TEC goals. And I think that having that 22% going to the common pool, that's actually going to affect the price of the token positively as well, because we're using that money to be advancing the field of token engineering. But also in this proposal, it's the entry tribute is supposed to go down and the exit tribute goes up over time. So it's not going to be at 22% the whole time. And eventually when there's markets open on HoneySwap and everywhere else, then our bots are going to be paying these tributes to the common pool. Sorry, I went over, but
it's okay. There's a hook here. They just ring you off in those Academy Awards or whatever. Juanka, you also have been promoting this approach along with Chuy. Do you want to finish Lauren's thought here about the governance ability to change the entry tribute? I'll give you 45 seconds.
Yeah, the idea is that we start with a high entry tribute because we want to profit from providing liquidity to the secondary markets. But at the same time, we will choose to gradually lower that entry tribute and raise the exit tribute so that we can actually raise the price of the token that is circulating without having the need of minting new tokens. So that would be the stimulus.
Very nice, very nice. And along the same lines, Chuy, do you have anything to add for 30 seconds?
Yes. I also feel that is in a spot where we can benefit from generating the secondary markets. But I also feel that this should be changed relatively quick. As soon as we finish our token freeze period, which is going to last 4 months or 16 weeks, I feel that this 8-2 relation should be an even 5. So this way we can also generate funds for the common pool if hatchers start to exit for some reason.
Well timed. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have Zeptimus. Zeptimus, I want to give you a minute to talk about why you have by far not even 1/10 of the spread that most of these proposals have, and not even 1% on the entry or exit tributes.
Yeah, there's 2 reasons because of that, and having a higher entry and exit tribute doesn't mean you are going to have more money into the common pool. I think that can also create the opposite effect, people feeling the entry tribute is so high, I don't want to win. And then the other thing is if you have very low, you make our community is amazing. So if you make to the people easy to join us, then they are going to stay. And because the intention is bring people and build with us. And actually on every trade, having 1.5 going to the common pool, and if we have a relatively good amount of volume, I think this is going to be very healthy for the common pool. And and again this thinking of having people to come in, if we need to make so easy to people to come in and out, because we're creating an economy, and I don't think we should limit or create barriers to entry. So that's it.
Fantastic, man! You are so eloquently spoken and right on time. Nuggan, would you like to add? I'll give you 40 seconds to add something to Septimus's arguments. You also have 3.5, which is a very small spread compared to the rest.
Yeah, I agree with Zepti's basic idea. I just think that 0.75 is a bit too low. I think 3.5 is a number that on each individual trade doesn't seem too much. It seems okay, like a compromise, but then in the end, ends up adding up a lot of funds which go to the common pool. And also I think that is good to have the same entry then exit and have it stable and not be changing around. So I think that is kind of the equilibrium for myself that I think works best, following the same basic idea that also Zepti has. But yeah, I think 0.75 is, I kind of fear that maybe it wouldn't be enough to really fund as much as we would want to.
Fantastic. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, we have just one proposal that has a higher exit tribute than an entry tribute. That would be the Bolsheviks Gambit. I want to pass it to the Marxist Vlad and give you a minute to discuss your choices around the entry and exit tribute.
Yeah, thanks. So this one, like some others, we'll plan to change post-revolution, but we're starting off with 8 and 10. And I think that we should still get some tributes from people entering in the initial hype, but we should penalize people just a little bit more for exiting the cause and selling their TEC tokens at the beginning. And I will mention that this will go down to about 2 to 3% after the 3-month mark.
Fantastic. Wow. 30 seconds left. Well done. Well, I also want to pass it to Nate, who's very similar, actually same exact entry and exit tributes as the 420, to discuss your thoughts on why. I'll give you 30 seconds to talk about your entry and exit tribute choices.
Yeah, so I think that we all kind of come to the agreement that these entry and exit tributes are going to stay the same, but having both a high entry and high exit tribute at the beginning will give the bonding curve some time to be evaluated by the community, to allow some time to see how people are interacting with it. It protects it from speculators by allowing value-aligned people to enter the commons with that high of a tribute, donating to the common pool. And then as we move on, I think it's really healthy for us to evaluate as time goes on and adjust the entry and exit tributes accordingly based on activity.
Nice. Tam, 30 seconds to add anything. You have the same entry and exit tributes as Nate.
Yeah. It might have actually come from orogeny. So my thinking here is like the tribute is the innovation. It's the A in the augmented bonding curve, and it's designed exactly for this purpose. People will seek us out to contribute to this mission. At first I really love the idea of the step change. I even added it to my first proposal, but then as I started thinking about it, there was some SDG had some influence on this thinking about we're going to ask people to raise the exit tribute of the tokens they're holding. And that just seemed like the logical merit against being able to bank on that didn't square for me. So I like a modest tribute, which has enough to fund our purpose without, which we can live with for a few months. And if empirical data shows that we need to change it, then we would change it at a later date.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for speeding it up at the end there. I think I hit everyone. So now there was about 2 weeks ago, there was an incredible change in these proposals around the common pool funds. Most of the proposals had a lot of money in the bonding curve, and that radically changed after Stewart's call, where we looked at our finances and we wanted to make sure that we could cover the costs of working groups and still have a lot of money to fund the advancement of token engineering. And now we actually have almost all the proposals have at least 900K in the common pool. There are only 2 proposals that have less than that. And Zeptimus, yours has 630K in the common pool. I want to give you a minute to discuss why you went that approach with your parameter set.
Yeah, I mean, the reasoning behind it, it was to send more money to the reserve, because I also think it's important. And of course, the common pool is important. But with this amount of money, we have enough money to advance and work for a year and a half. And the intention, the commons have to have, is to start to create, inflows and be efficient with our money. One of also the fees, we started using the money not wisely, and also the solution to get more money is not printing more. It's not working on the in fiat, any fiat. They are printing money and it's going to chaos, right? We're seeing all this stuff with the States or Europe, like everyone is printing a lot of money with all this COVID stuff and the inflation. Like I was in my house, the heat was 0.6 the like every liter, and now it's 0.9 every liter. So the inflation is going wild, and I think like this, like printing money is the solution. Yeah.
Well spoken. Well spoken. Let's also pass it to Nate. You also have under 900K, about 770K in the common pool. Why do you think that is enough to initialize our economy? I'll give you 45 seconds.
I do. I think people underestimate the augmented bonding curve of the money that's going to be generated to the common pool, and so 770,000 is nothing to sneeze at. So I think it's on the lower end, but I do think it's enough to fund our working groups initially and allow for activity to happen on the bonding curve to raise more funds in the common pool. With that being said, I agree with Zepti. I think that when we're running lean, we're more innovative. We're forced to actually find different areas of revenue and force the working groups to kind of generate and become autonomous and independent themselves, and not just relying on this million plus funding pool that we have to do their thing. I want most of the money to go to actual proposals, and that'll force working groups to work leaner. So,
well said. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have two proposals with over $1 million in the funding pool. Nuggan used advanced mathematics to make this happen, and an 84% commons tribute. Do you want to discuss that, Nuggan? Why you went with $1 million over $1.07 million in the common pool? I'll give you 45 seconds.
Yeah, well, it was. I think we are here to fund token engineering and fund proposals and do stuff, and I think maybe it's that costs money, and we need to be able to fund it. And a lot of time, these things also take maybe longer than expected to really bear fruit. So I think we should be able to use this money which we just raised with the hedge to make an impact and really start strong and fund as much as we can, and because that's what we are here for, I think. And I don't think it's good to have that much money trapped in the bonding curve just sitting there. So let's use it.
Well said. And also Juanka's Ostrom's $1 million baby, of course, has $1 million in the common pool as well. Would you like to explain your thought on that, Juanka? 45 seconds.
Yeah, I am on Nuggan with this one. I think we are here to fund TE projects, and it would be like really more interesting to the TE projects to come to us if they see that we have a big pool where they can actually propose and receive funds. Because if we have a lower pool, it will make it harder to pass proposals, and also it will make proposals to compete between themselves. So I won't really like that approach, like, hey, we are only being able to fund some proposals and then other proposals are not being funded, even though that they are really good. So yeah, I think that it would be really cool that we can have like a lot of funds to fund a lot of proposals.
Okay, and the people who are in the middle of the road, does anyone have anything that they would like to add to this discussion on the common pool funds?
Yeah, I would, please.
Yep, 30 seconds.
So just DAO operations alone for 6 months is going to be 500 to 600. And my thinking is that that leaves, we don't want to just fund it. We don't want to just DAO. We don't want to just fund DAO operations. We actually want to, out of the gate, be able to fund real token engineering projects as well. So that's why I'm opting for a higher rather than a lower commons pool funding.
Fantastic.
And that's really all I wanted to share.
Does anyone else have anything? Yeah, Mitch.
I have a point to add as well. Just echoing what Tam said, I think it'll be really important to have a good chunk of initial funding. Just like she said, just to kickstart things and actually start advancing token engineering. And also the dynamic between commons tribute equaling our reserve balance gives us that kind of Montaña Rusa effect in the beginning. but also affects the reserve ratio to give us like a stabler growth arc as the DAO matures. So we get rid of that price action of the casino in the beginning, but we also become more mature. And this is as a result of the Commons tribute.
Fantastic. Very well said. Thank you all for jumping in. And I do want to say that just add that for the token freeze and token thaw and the augmented bonding curve, we can change the entry and exit tribute after launch, but we can't change the token freeze, the token thaw. Well, I guess technically we can change them, but it'd be very difficult. It's impossible to change the opening price or the commons tribute, and very difficult to change the reserve ratio after launch. So I do want to encourage extra weight given to the proposals that match your thoughts on these on the topics that have been stated so far, which is why I wanted to give extra time to the ABC, because these things cannot be changed after launch. However, DAO voting and conviction voting can be changed after launch, but those changes are governed by DAO voting itself. So it's not something that just is super easy to change. There are a lot of interest has been said. A lot of interesting things have been said about support required. I will say that this DAO is very different than other DAOs, where a lot of DAOs just think 50% is what is needed. The lowest support required in our DAO is that we've presented up here is 75%, and this is in reserve ratio matters. Septimus, would you like to give 45 seconds on why you chose support required? Actually, let's talk about support required and minimum quorum. You have the highest minimum quorum and the lowest support required. Can you discuss that for a minute?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, when we open this economy, like, a lot of people is going to join us, and then it's not going to be like a trusted seed only economy. Like right now, we are all of us a group of friends, and we pass and we reach those quorums very easily. And 75% is a good majority to change like our constitution Tao voting parameters. And then the 15% on the minimum quorum, it's because like with Tao voting, we are going to have delegated voting, and there's like some wells like have like, I don't know, 8, 5, I don't know, bigger percentage, and then with delegated voting, it would be so easy to one person to pass a proposal. And then with 15%, it's like, it's pretty, it's decided by the community itself. I mean, that's it.
Well said. So just to repeat, because you have such a high reserve ratio, this is what influenced a lot of your choices here.
Yeah.
And another relatively low support required is the 420, 77 and 7. Very nice, lucky numbers there. Would you like to discuss, Tam? I'll give you a minute to discuss your min quorum and support required.
Yeah, I don't know if I need a whole minute, to be honest. It's very similar to what Septimus is saying. I think that, having a too high support required might just handicap us from getting anything passed. And 77 puts us in 23% no votes, or 24% no votes required to block a change to the DAO, which is not so much that it can't happen, but not so little that it happens with some frequency. I guess the other thing is that we'll have, for the minimum quorum of 7, it's sort of like, finger in the air a little bit. What's the right number? It seems like it can be enough that we can actually achieve it. The other thing that somebody brought up is that we'll have 250K worth of tokens, however many tokens that ends up being in the laser tag multi-sig. So that would sort of be taken out of this voting process too.
Well said. That's a very interesting point. Also, on the other end of the spectrum, we have Nuggan with a 91% support required and a 7% minimum quorum. I want to give you a minute, Nuggan, to discuss why you think that 91% support required is the best solution.
Thanks, Griff. Yeah, well, I think that the DAO voting controls just a limited set of parameters, and that they should stay as stable as possible. And I think my proposal has a lower reserve ratio, just 15%. So we're going to have a lot of new people joining in. And I think every change should go with a high consensus. And I think 90% is a good mental number. Like it's a good threshold. The minimum quorum is a bit lower. It's only 7, just to account for those times where we really need to change something. And we can, when there is a high consensus and we just need to mobilize enough people to do the change and vote it. But yeah, I think the actual DAO parameters shouldn't be easy to change. You just don't change the constitution also as often. Just some base there.
Mathematics are hard to change. Makes sense. Good meme. Okay, now we currently, as a DAO, we have an 88% hatch DAO support required, 88 and 8, and 3 proposals kept those parameters. I don't know, Mich, Chuy, or Juank, if any of you would like to defend the staying with the hatch DAO parameters. I'll give you 45 seconds, but someone's got to speak up to take it.
Yeah, sure. If we're talking about support required and minimum quorum, I mean, at the end of the day, these aren't huge differences between 91% to 88% and 1 to 2% quorum. But I think an interesting way to look at it is that if this was a really contentious yes/no vote, what part of the community, how big of a portion of the community are you willing to lose in that case? And so that would be represented by the no votes. And we should have a high consensus because these decisions in Tao voting have a very high impact. And so it's good to have a reasonably high support required.
Nice. I want to pass it to Lauren for Goldilocks. Goldilocks is also a middle of the road, but deviated from the hatch DAO. I would like to give you 40 seconds to explain your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so the problem with having the support required too low is that the support required too high. The support required too low is that it discourages people from voting negatively at all. So it's like because they only have a small amount of tokens, their vote no isn't going to really impact it. So it's this herd mentality because all these votes are on chain. You can see voting no. So I think having a high support required is good to actually empower people to make a choice that they want to make rather than just going with what everybody's saying because their vote doesn't matter anyway. So I think having it high is good, but also we need to keep in mind that we're opening this up to more than just the hatchers now. So we have other people coming in or just speculators coming in, which is affecting the supply. So anyway, it would be good to have value alignment with the votes still. So I think having it relatively high but a little lower is the best option.
Fantastic. Cool. Well, I would like to move on unless anyone has something that they want to speak about their choices in support required and minimum quorum. Then let's move on to the timeline. I know most people have the vote duration between 5 and 7 days. There is one oddball here, Chuy. I know that you have some thoughts on why you would like to add a half day to the vote duration, a half day to the delegated voting period, and a half day to the quiet ending extension. You want to illuminate us?
Yeah, it's
40 seconds.
It's just like a simple logic because it's because of time zone differences. Like if a vote is gonna last for 3 days, you want to have that extra half day to compensate for the difference, like for whenever it starts, so that people can have enough time during business hours, let's say.
Nice. And one of the shorter timelines is Goldilocks. Maybe I know you have things to say about this one, Lauren. So I'll give you a minute to talk about your timeline as a whole. Ideally, you could touch on the fact that the delegated voting period and quiet ending period overlap, as well as the 5-day period. Okay,
Yeah. So the parameters are chosen for this one basically so that votes, even if we trigger a quiet ending, can still be passed within a week. The vote duration is 5 days. The delegated voting period is 3 days, and the quiet ending period is 3 days. Basically, that means that there's 1 day in between, including both the delegated voting period and quiet ending period, where the delegates could actually flip the vote. So that means that if the delegates are probably going to be like a pretty big group. So if there's contentiousness within the delegates, they should be allowed to flip the vote and then have that extra period of time for people to be coming in and checking their delegates voting and adding in their voting opinions. In Tao voting, you can't actually change your vote. I mean, you could change your delegates vote, but you can't change your vote. So I think still the voting period will only be 1 week. I don't think that we'd probably be triggering infinite quiet endings, but this contentiousness in the delegates can trigger the quiet ending period, and still everything can get wrapped up in 1 week, which I think is really reasonable.
Oh, well timed. Well, Tam, you're in 420. The proposal is almost the same as Goldilocks, except your quiet ending is 1 day shorter, and the quiet ending extension is 1 day longer. And execution delay is 1 day longer. Would you like to comment, maybe just 30 seconds on your choices?
Yeah, this one can be really short for me too. I feel like these are those are really this is Goldilocks really influenced this. I feel like they were pretty reasonable. I like the idea of the quiet ended period being a little longer because it signals there's contention in the community. So then I feel like we should offer time to come to agreements. So I thought that, and the same thing for the extension, actually. I think that the quiet periods are signals for contention, and we should give them time to resolve.
Well done. Well, Zeptimus, you have a relatively different... Oh, I just screwed up my timer. You have a relatively different thought here. You actually remove the quiet ending period practically. The quiet ending period only triggers in the last 12 hours of the vote. Along with Montaña Rusa, this is much shorter than everyone else. Do you want to comment on why you went with a half-day quiet ending period?
Yeah, I mean, I can be short also here. Like, the thing is, the quiet ending period, the only reason I see, like, to extend the vote is, like, okay, like, whales are just, voting in the last second and changing, like, what the community is saying. And then, yeah, in 12 hours is more than enough time to prevent that. And then, yeah, it's like the only reason I see to use extend the vote. And I mean, and since the vote is like 7 days, like having like 3 days quiet ending period, it's like almost like the half of the vote. Like, people normally start to vote in the light time, and yeah, that's it.
Well said. Does anyone else have any comments that they'd like to make on Tao voting, on their Tao voting parameters? No? Then let's. Yeah. Go for it.
I just want to say that I'm a bigger fan of the longer voting periods. I know that a lot of people want shorter periods just in case they need to get something done really quick. But I think these votes are going to be a lot more infrequent than we think they are, and that they're major changes to the DAO structure. And so I think that giving ample amount of time to evaluate, plan, and make sure that the entire community is engaged and participating is really important.
Fantastic. That's a token orogeny that slaps, which also is the only orogeny proposal out there. So this is very surprising to me, honestly, because orogeny was all the rage. It was taking the token engineering commons by storm. We were blown away at the results of orogeny, and maybe Nate, you could go into the thoughts behind orogeny and just your conviction voting parameters in general. I'm going to give everyone conviction voting is a very complicated module, and so I want to allow you all to share a screen on this one. This is if you choose to. So get ready for that, and I'm going to give everyone a minute and a half to discuss their conviction growth parameters, starting with Nate on orogeny. Do you want to share? Are you able to share? What?
I'll allow you to share the screen if possible.
I can try to share the screen.
Yeah. So the orogeny style conviction voting is centered around extremely high conviction growth and an extremely low minimum conviction. The idea behind this is that conviction growth, it's all about token holder behavior and how we vote on conviction proposals. When you have a high conviction growth, it takes a little bit longer for proposals to pass, but with the combination of minimum conviction, it lowers the threshold for a proposal to pass. So the combination of those two allows token holders to stake their tokens behind a proposal for a longer period of time. If you have a shorter conviction growth, say 7 days, it requires the attention of the token holders to constantly be moving their tokens around to different places, prioritizing one proposal over another. If you stick your tokens behind a proposal with a long conviction growth and you stick it there, and then when you see another proposal coming in that you like, you can remove those tokens and vote somewhere else without losing that conviction very quickly. And so the idea behind this is to just adjust token holder behavior around voting for proposals. And so if you were to take a small proposal, it could take up to 6 months and with very little support, and you could pass something. But we could build rules around that within our constitution to challenge anything that goes over a couple months. But the grand idea is around token holder behavior. We don't want you to have to spend all your time moving your tokens here and there all over the place. We want you to stick your tokens behind a proposal, grow conviction with it, and then move it around if you see other proposals that you like. Because if you have a really short conviction growth, you're forced to move it around constantly until that proposal passes.
Fantastic. I will pass it. Can I pass? Is anyone ready to share screen? Okay. I'm gonna throw it to Nuggan. Nuggan, would you like to share screen, or would you like me to share screen for you?
Yeah, I'll try to share screen. Let's see if. No, it's not working. Can you share for me?
Absolutely. So this is Mathematics V4 conviction voting. Go ahead and start.
Yeah. Well, the idea is to have to be able to fund proposals quickly, but not too quick. Like the earlier versions had faster growth. I think 7 is the acceptable minimum, because it kind of makes it very difficult to pass proposals impossible in 8 hours. In 1 day, it takes a lot of conviction from a lot of people. So the ideal would be to pass a proposal in around 7 days or 2 weeks. And I think 20% spending limit is on the higher side, but I think we underestimate how much the stuff really costs in the end. So operations are not going to be that cheap, and funding serious research, which is like I don't want people to need to kind of cut their proposals in tiny little pieces just to be able to ask for money for them. So projects can take longer and should be allowed to be bigger, but there you have a higher minimum conviction to account for that, and yes, and the conviction growth, which gives a pretty strong signal around with the conviction of 7 days. You get a quick signal of the community's how the community stands on that proposal. So you kind of have quick feedback there if people are supporting it or not, and then you can change it. But the ideal case should be like 1 week, 1 to 2 weeks to have a proposal passed and funded.
Well done. Well, very very similar to Nuggan's proposal. We have We have Mich's proposal, the Bolsheviks Gambit. Relatively similar parameters. Would you like to share screen, Mich, or would you like me to?
Yeah, I got it open here.
That's the spirit.
So here we are here. We've got spending limit 18, conviction 4, growth 7. And so I think really something important to look at here is our conviction growth. Griff has made a great point several times that like anything over a month sitting to get passed it gets kind of stale and kind of like flows off of our radar. So I think it's good to have a relatively agile setting of 7 days conviction growth. And the relationship between minimum conviction and spending limit can get a little bit spicy. So it's like really finding the sweet spot, which I think we can do this in Iron Curtain conviction voting. And so you can see I've loaded up a couple typical scenarios that we might see. Anywhere running the range from requests for 40K to 1K to 60K. And you can see the small proposals take significantly more, okay? And this is the Iron Curtain, making it very hard to pass. But also 60K still takes significant amount of tokens, but very feasible. Sorry, were you going to cut me off?
No, you still have 20 seconds.
Great. Well, then you can see right there, our middle of the road, I think, is going to be around 25 to 40K for funding working groups and token engineering projects. And so you can see they're very feasible to pass within a week, 2 weeks, but they take a significant amount of tokens, which I think is a very healthy status.
Well said. That's the Marxist lad for you right there with the Iron Curtain conviction voting. Best memed by far conviction voting parameter set. But also similar to this, another 7-day conviction growth is the Goldilocks proposal. Lauren, do you want to discuss this? The only thing that you have different from Mich is the 11% spending limit.
Yeah, great. Okay, cool. So, yeah, just to illustrate Mitch's point about this conviction growth. So this chart shows the percentage of max conviction, the maximum like voting, the token power that you have when you're staking them on a proposal for a certain time. You can really see that like at about 30 days, the rate at which your conviction is increasing really tapers off. It becomes like almost flat around here. And so it basically works that like at around 4 times your conviction growth, that's kind of like the max voting power that you're going to achieve. And you can also really see that if you look at like these conviction voting requests that are in here, like after a month, you can see like this is requesting 8,000 and there's 800,000 in the common pool. So this is 1%, requesting 1% of the common pool. It needs 51,000 tokens to pass. After 3 months, it's 48. After 6 months, it's 48. So it really, really taps out at 4 times this like 1 week period. So I think that the conviction growth of 7 days is like really ideal because basically people should be doing more things in their token than just like leaving them sitting there forever and ever. And I think that they will likely be doing that. And then proposals that are staying there longer are getting really quite stale. The spending limit on this proposal is a little bit lower. I mean, the parameters are basically optimized so that in 8 hours, no proposals can pass at all, which I think is really good because you don't want a big proposal passing and some of the community is asleep. But in 1 day, you could be passing a 1% proposal with like around 50% of the effective supply voting on that. In 3 days, things start to look a little bit more balanced. You could get 1% of a 1% proposal passed with around like a little less than 20%. 7 days, 1% proposals around 10%. So you can see that it's like with like the conviction goes relatively quickly, but like around 2 weeks and 1 month, this is like where the biggest proposals are going to be able to be passed. And yeah, okay, cool. That's my side.
Yep, I will say Goldilocks' proposal, and I'm biased because, it has a very well written description on conviction voting, so definitely check that out. I will also pass it to Juank, who's on the other end of the spectrum on the short conviction growth, 3 days conviction growth. Juank, would you like to share screen, or would you like me to share screen for you?
Yeah, let me a second, please.
Perfect.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, my idea with this proposal is to have a very low spending limit because we are aiming to have a very big common pool. So, I think like the idea around this would be to be able to pass small proposals so that the projects that propose to the TC, they don't see the TC as their unique source of funding, but rather as a boost to their project. So yeah, that's why I have a low spending limit and a fast conviction growth, so that things are able to pass and move fast. The only thing is that in 8 hours it's possible to pass like $1,000 proposal, but it will need an absurd high amount of participation, like in 8 hours. So yeah, maybe that can happen, but it will need like a lot of participation. But the idea is that between 3 to 7 days is the lapse where we can support proposals, and that if there is a very big proposal, that it should be split in two proposals. Like a proposal that is requesting 100K, maybe it can split between two proposals, and the idea around that is to be able to have more accountability. And in 3 months and in 6 months, the minimum conviction is almost the same. So yeah, it's not easy to pass just proposals because you forgot take out the voting from them.
Well said. Well said. Very well presented, and a very different than the. I would say that Ostrom's $1 Million Baby and Nate's Token Orogeny are the ones that really are very unique and don't have very much similarities to the other proposals. Goldilocks and Mich and the Bolsheviks Gambit and Mathematics are all relatively similar. And there's another set of three conviction voting sets that are relatively similar. Let's start off with Tam's 420 proposal, which has a 14-day conviction growth and also a high spending limit of 20% to counterbalance what Juank was just talking about. Yeah, take it away, Tam.
Cool. First, I want to give a nod to Orogeny and Nate, because that was real token engineering, coming up with such a innovative method. And then I want to say what's important to me here is that the minimum 24 hours to pass any proposal is a real courtesy to the community. So I just want to second what Lauren said there. And the 20% spending limit is low, and I have similar reasons to Nuggan. We have large and ambitious projects that should get passed, and we don't want to deter those projects with what ends up being the effect of micromanaging, submitting a bunch of small proposals. The token engineering community is a small community. People have reputation. We know who delivers, and we should be able to quickly have a large, have enough tokens to be able to pass these kinds of projects without requiring them to break it up into many different pieces. I also think having a steady stream of small proposals will be exhausting for voters. So maybe we shouldn't sort of create those behaviors in our community. So conviction growth is higher higher too here, because we do have a large spending limit. So we want to balance that with the conviction sort of growing slowly and not being super fast. That actually means that, okay, so nothing would pass in 8 hours. A day.
You can finish your thought.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Finish your thought.
Okay, cool. But after, a week or 2 weeks, similar to Goldilocks and what Lauren was saying, a good proposal could take a week or 2 weeks to pass. And I feel like that's actually fair and behooves the community.
Thank you so much, Tam, for presenting 420 public open. Currently in the top of at least token log, at least at the beginning of the show.
It also has 420 votes right now.
Oh, memeable! Someone take a screenshot. Let's get that on Twitter. Next, we have a very similar proposal to conviction voting proposal. This is Montaña Rusa. Man, Chuy, I'm so sorry. It's been a while since I've heard from you. It feels like. I want to give you a little bit extra time if you need it to discuss conviction voting. I'll give you a minute 50.
Yeah, actually, my approach is pretty simple. I agree with Tam regarding funding serious proposals and make them worth it. So I feel that everything between 7 days and 2 weeks is possible with enough coordination. However, I bring down the minimum conviction because I feel that 5% just sets the bar too high. And although there could be a vulnerability considered here, because we would be like in a way like exposed to let's say like some malicious voting or something like this. I keep bringing this up. Like we have Celeste. We are at One Hive Gardens, and we have like an additional layer of trust going back to the same filter with the trusted seed and Hatcher's selling. So I feel that this is something very, very important that is being left out of the conviction voting parameters and considerations. So yeah, this is I would pretty much summarize it like this.
Well said. That's fantastic. And thank you, Montaña Rusa. So let's see. I think this is the last one.
No.
Could I?
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll give you 30 seconds, Nate.
Okay, so I just want to make 2 points when it comes to conviction voting. The numbers that we see within the dashboard are based off of an effective supply of 1.5 million. As the economy grows, that effective supply is also going to grow. And so I just want to make sure people take that into account. And the second thing I wanted to point out is that when we make it more difficult to pass proposals, it requires the community to have kind of a herd mentality when it comes to having consensus about these proposals. And so I think that is a net positive. So I just want to pass it back to you. I just want to make sure those 2 things were said.
Well said. Well said. Thank you for jumping in. And Zeptimus, I believe you have the floor now. Would you like to share screen?
Yeah. Yeah, basically, on these parameters, like the conviction voting are like probably like even if the parameters are like similar to others, the proposals are actually hard to pass just because like the money into the common pool is pretty low. And yeah, and again, like the reasoning, like we also having like, I mean, that's a fact. Like we only raised like 1.5 million, so we need like to use this money very wisely. Like it's like printing it's not the solution. And then yeah, like one security mechanism, like it's like keep accountable. Like, and then as Tam was saying, like yeah, probably like the TE Academy wants 100K, and yeah, it's not possible in any scenario. But it's not just them; it's anyone who have like this, and it's just because like we right now we are a small community. Like when we grow bigger and our common pool is bigger, like then bigger projects can apply on our common pool, and at the same time, like for working groups, it's doable to pass those proposals like in 2 weeks. I mean, if you take like longer, it's going to be easier. But in 2 weeks, it's like doable to pass those working group proposals. And yeah, I mean, again, like it's like the same thing. Like it's hard to pass those proposals, but then we also really need to think like how to make the common pool bigger and be efficient. Like we have to think like we are in a market. Market is competitive. Like if we are not competitive and we just have a bunch of money, we are just going to waste it. And I don't know, like we really need to force out, like, you know, when you see the need of having revenue, then you're going to push it because you need it, right? And yeah, that's my thought.
Very well said, Zeptimus. Very well said. These are some incredible proposals, and this is the moment of truth. This is where we actually get to vote on it. I want to go to some of the people who began this call 2 hours ago. Let's refresh to see the latest numbers. If you can, please go to Token Log. This is the moment to vote. You just had an overview of some amazing proposals. It's going to be hard. Whoever votes on 420, take one for the team here. We're going to have to destroy the meme. But definitely vote to your heart's content. Go out there and rock the vote right now. I want to give each so please go grab this link. I'll post it in the general channel, or maybe A couple people can go and post it in the general channel while I'm sharing screen. Thank you so much.
Hey, Griff, can I ask Tam a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, Tam, it's David. I just am wondering, with the what I consider to be a high spending limit, 20%, are you not concerned that a few large projects could really decimate the common pool? Say we get 3 big projects, one fails, one gets hacked, and one succeeds, and they all take 20%. We're down below half of our reserve. I think it's called the reserve. So I really like the proposal, except that spending limit concerns me. And so I just wanted to hear the creator of that proposal speak to that. Thanks.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. I think that there's a few things. First, to exactly what you're saying is that I don't think many large proposals will actually pass. I think that there may be a few with proven leadership and proven delivery that may pass. Token Engineering Academy is an example. But I don't think we're going to get a bunch of mediocre proposals that will pass at these large budgets. So my expectation is that we should facilitate the proven initiatives, projects, and just not pass the other ones. The other thing is, if there is a project that has some malicious intent, we do have Celeste to lean back on. And this is something that Chuy mentioned earlier, and it really influenced my thinking too. If there is a project that we think is suspicious, we could arbitrate that proposal if it seems as if it's going to pass. So we can sort of cut it off before it actually passes.
Well said. Well said.
That's entirely answered my question. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yeah, Nuggan?
Yeah, I also wanted to add there, because since I also have a spending limit of 20%, the number seems high, but if you take a look at the graph and how the conviction voting works, the real achievable numbers are closer to like 15%, and that is something that has to be taken into account when choosing this theoretical maximum spending limit.
Yeah, and I would even go further to say, like, expecting 60% of people to sit behind a proposal for 3 months and not move their tokens would be pretty ridiculous. After a month, having more than 40% of the tokens just sit there behind your proposal, voting against everything else effectively, is about the maximum I could imagine. So for most of these proposals, it's around 12% or lower.
Hearing
I
it
want to
talk
discuss.
through, it's very comforting knowing that the votes would stave off most malicious or negligent proposals at that stage. Yeah, thanks very much, guys.
I'm just going to go down this list. Does anyone have a question for Goldilocks? No? I guess not. How about reserve ratio matters? Changed my mind. Did anyone have a question for this proposal? I guess I shouldn't be putting the whole community on the spot here. I'll open it up for
What would be
questions.
cool, Griff, is if we could look at the parameters instead of the title. Like the GitHub issue would be more useful to help us remember.
Sure. Here's Goldilocks. 69 Commons tribute, nice meme there. 22 and 2. 10% minimum quorum. Goldilocks reserve ratio.
Yeah, I'd like to hear a couple minutes about just developing this theory of 22%, and then you're swapping it to 12 or 20. I can't remember the exit tribute.
Yeah, so it starts out at 22% and 2% exit tribute. And then over time, every month, you reduce the entry tribute by 4% and raise the exit tribute by 2% until the final entry and exit tributes are 2% entry and 12% exit after 5 months. So the strategy is all outlined in the where Griff is zooming in the GitHub issue. The high entry tribute is basically to in the early stages to attract value aligned people, and then over time we're kind of like surrendering the bonding curve to because we're going to have secondary markets. So it's like mostly going to be our bots that are buying and selling against it, and then also like with raising the exit tribute a little bit up to the point when the hatchers start selling their tokens, it's like a little bit of a disincentive to start selling tokens as they become released, but also like not so much because they could also just sell them on the open market. That's still a way to be generating funds for the common pool.
Okay, let's leave it at that, and let's
Actually, can I ask one question about that?
Yeah,
because I
sure.
really fell in love with the thinking and the logic. But then I also realized that the community that'll be voting on this, what if they don't vote for those step changes, the following step changes? What happens then?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess if people don't vote to pass the step changes, then we wouldn't change the steps. But like, I think to keep in mind with all of these proposals, we could vote to change them to anything. This is just like part of the strategy with Goldilocks. So it's like, this is what we would intend to do. But we could also, as a community, if like the main parameters to look at when you're voting on these proposals are like the things that are definitely going to be stagnant, like token freeze, token thaw, what the amount that's in the common pool and the reserve ratio. And then if you don't really like the entry exit, still stuff that we can change like with Tao voting. And so I think like considering like the entire picture of things is like also really important. And if the community decides that the entry tribute is just too high and they actually just want to lower it because this is like something that was unfavorable, then we could vote to change that and pass that.
Fantastic. I want to move on to someone that's looks like these two are very likely to make the final vote. I want to discuss for the last 10 minutes some of the ones that are out of the top, like Montaña Rusa. Chuy, do you want to give one last maybe pitch on Montaña Rusa? Or does anyone else want to back Chuy up on why Montaña Rusa is a great proposal? But Chuy, you go first.
Yes. I feel that this proposal brings up some interesting topics that I think are being left out by the top proposals. So considering that by now this is like an improved version and takes the benefit out of and the good aspects out of TEC Casino, at least help me get it a little bit further than TEC Casino, so that these topics can be taken into consideration, like the extra half day for DAO voting and the token freeze and token thaw difference. So thanks for those of you that have supported this. I never really expected to get this far, but I'm really starting to like this proposal and the middle ground where it stands.
I do like, compared to the TEC Casino proposals, it has a very reasonable, much more reasonable reserve ratio that allows people to actually enter and exit. And I also love how the token freeze kind of aligns with this idea that it's okay for hatchers to sell some tokens, but they won't be able to sell too much with the long thaw. It's like so I think that's super cool. Another proposal that is a little bit out of the range right now is a token orogeny that slaps. It actually says test, which might be hurting the votes. This is issue 38, is the oldest issue and a test issue by much less, apparently, which is really cool, honestly, that it made the final as a test. Nate, do you want to discuss why people should choose a token orogeny that slaps with better DAO voting?
Yes, I think this is kind of the, people take it for granted that it's kind of the middle of the road proposal, but I do think that everything within this proposal is a community-oriented proposal for a healthy and sustainable economy and for a healthy, cohesive organization that we can back behind it. I think everything that from the conviction voting to the bonding curve, the entry and exit attributes, it forces people to participate and forces people to be engaged, and so that's why I'm a big fan of this. If you get a chance, look at it, evaluate it, vote on it. I'd like to see it in the end.
Very nice. Does anyone else have any comments to support Montaña Rusa or A Token Orogeny that slaps?
I have a comment for Mathematics V4.
Great.
Yeah, I love everything except the Tao voting module, because I feel like to have a support required of 91%, maybe the minimum quorum should be a little higher. Otherwise, it feels like this incentivizes collusion somehow. Like a small group of people that could reach that 91% very easily, and proposals could how to make sure that participation will happen to actually have that support.
Thanks. Yeah, I think we have. How do I say it? I think the longer voting period, like the whole week for the 7 days vote duration, really gives the community time to react in case there is a small group which is trying to pass a malicious vote. So this really high support required with the longer vote duration should give time to react to that, and the minimum quorum of 7%, which is, I think, a bit higher than or at least in the mean of the rest of the proposals, also kind of prevents that a too small group of people can have too much influence there.
Excellent. Any other comments in support of this proposal, Nuggan?
Well, I just I think it is. You can see it's a middle road proposal. It's balanced, also in comparison to the others, while still having the biggest common pool and a bonding curve which is going to be able to grow a lot. So it's growth possibilities in the curve, stability in the Tao voting, and then conviction voting made for activity and starting actually funding stuff and giving and having being active.
I will say that I love the combination of the low opening price and low reserve ratio with a high common pool with the mathematics. I think that's really just optimal and awesome. So congratulations on developing that.
Thanks.
I would like to see the entry and exit a little bit higher at the beginning, but yeah.
Yeah, well, the community can always vote on that, of course.
Well, there is quite the race here between Bolsheviks Gambit and Ostrom's $1 Million Baby. Reserve ratio matters, mathematics. We only have 3 minutes left. I want to give 1 minute to both Mich, Juank, and Zep to just give their final thoughts. So first, Mich, why is Bolsheviks Gambit the future of the token engineering commons?
Well, I have to say it has the best vesting in the West, and with the 12-week token freeze, and also the conviction votings, of course, are really solid and let us disperse a considerable amount of funds while protecting us from low proposals draining our funds. And we have great money in the common pool. We've got a solid reserve ratio, but we also get a little price action in the beginning because of the opening price and its relationship with the reserve balance.
We still got 30 seconds.
Oh, great. Well, too quick. After that, we can see that the Tao voting settings are really solid as well. We can be done and over with the Tao voting session in 1 week, assuming there's no contention. We give half the time to delegates, and we give another half for the community to react to the delegates voting. And so there's a 3 full days there, and then a 3 days after that, and then we give a generous amount of time if there's any contention with Tao voting. And
Yep,
leave it
that's
there.
it. Well said. Well said. This is Bolsheviks Gambit. Rock the vote. Next we have, which is currently in the lead of these three. Reserve ratio matters. Zeptimus, do you want to give any final thoughts on why reserve ratio matters?
Yeah, of course. Like the thing is, like I think like this commons upgrade is just like the first step. Like I don't think like we have like a 30 million market cap. Like I think this is just the first step. Like we need with this high reserve ratio. Like what we are doing is allowing people to come and build with us and advance the token engineering field. Like we are creating an economy and we welcome everyone. And yeah, like no restrictions. Like come and build. Like and yeah, this is just the first step. And yeah, I don't have. I don't know.
I would like to take my time to make a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
And is to 420, like besides of the meme, is there other rationale of choosing that number?
Yeah, so over in the debate in Sunday, there was Paul Haas who sort of started to think about simulations of possible manipulations of our economy with such a low price, and speculators who would assume that the value of our community is really a lot higher and would try to take advantage of that by accumulating, like a group accumulating many tokens. So he inspired myself and some other people to think about raising the initial token price to be a deterrent from market manipulation.
Wonka, do you want to talk about your proposal though for like 30 seconds?
Yeah, that this is a proposal that aims to have the biggest initial buy for the community, and also that I like the numbers that it has on the bonding curve, that to equal the governance of the hatchers, we will need 33 million to enter into the bonding curve. So yeah, I think that would be really cool. It's not too low, it's not too high.
Well said. That is a differentiator for your proposal, that with a 63-cent initial price, the DAO itself gets to really get a lot of TEC tokens and the most TEC tokens of any of the proposals. So very nice. Thank you all so much for coming to the great debate. It has been a wild one. It was really fun. I had a blast, at least. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Please rock the vote if you have TEC hatch tokens, or if you know someone who has TEC hatch tokens. There is like how much time? 1 hour left to vote or something like that. Livia, when are you closing the vote?
No, wait. We were technically closing it right now because we would use this next call to. Oh no, we have 1 hour. Yes.
Yeah. We have 1 hour. 1 hour. Yeah.
One quick comment just about the vote and token log. So this is mostly a curation tool, and we are selecting four to five proposals to the runoff. Probably not more than 4. So vote on the proposals that you want to see on top. And because token log uses quadratic voting, it's interesting to maybe spread the votes a little bit on your top 4 favorite proposals. So that will signal a little bit more what do we want to see in the runoff, and not only put all your votes in the top.
Yes, well said. Vote strategically. 3 to 5 proposals. It could be 3 if there's just 3 dominant ones. It could be up to 5. We'll make it to the runoff, so you will have a chance to vote again. But rock the vote, guys. Thank you all for coming. Sorry for going 3 minutes over. And go reach out to your favorite TECH token holders. Get them to signal for your favorite proposal if you can. Go lobby our community and tell them you're well informed. So go out there and make the decisions count. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you in an hour at SoftGov. Oh no, actually, TEC right now the comms call is on. So Chuy, you can take everyone over there.